Stop scrolling for just one moment, because what I am about to share with you could be the single most important thing you hear this entire year, and most people will never act on it. There are two types of people walking this earth right now. The first type wakes up every morning already defeated, exhausted before the day begins, crushed under the weight of worry, moving through life like a passenger with no destination. The second type, they are different. They face the same storms, the same setbacks, the same broken roads, and yet somehow they keep moving. They keep building, they keep rising. What separates these two people is not money, it is not talent, it is not where they were born or what school they attended. The only difference is the quality of their mental attitude. And before you think this is just motivational talk, let me stop you right there. A positive mental attitude is not a hashtag. It is not a morning routine you copy from the internet. It is not forcing a smile while your world falls apart. It is something far deeper, far more powerful, and far more dangerous to your limitations than anything you have ever been taught. Napoleon Hill spent the better part of 3 decades studying the men who built the modern world, industrialists, inventors, thinkers, leaders. And the one truth he came back with again and again was this: what you allow to live in your mind will determine the quality of every single day of your life. That is not philosophy. That is law. So if you are serious about changing your mental state, not temporarily, but permanently, then stay with me. Because this is going to challenge you in ways that feel uncomfortable at first. And that discomfort, that is exactly where transformation begins. Let me ask you something honest. Right now, in this very moment, what is your mind feeding on? What are the thoughts that wake you up at 3 a.m.? What is the inner voice that greets you when you look in the mirror? Because your mind is never empty. It is never idle. It is always consuming something. And whatever it is consuming, it is becoming. If fear is the dominant voice in your head, you will build a life structured around avoiding what you fear. If doubt is what you hear most often, you will shrink every dream down to a size that fits your self-imposed limits. But if you begin to feed your mind on purpose, with intention, with discipline, with clarity, then everything changes. The mind is the one territory in this entire universe over which you hold complete and total ownership. No economy can take it. No person can steal it without your permission. No failure can invade it unless you open the door. That is not a small thing. That is everything. But most people give that power away every single morning before breakfast. They wake up and immediately hand the keys of their mind to the news, to social media, to the fears of yesterday, to the opinions of people who have never built anything worth admiring. And then they wonder why their life feels like it is happening to them rather than being created by them. Here is the foundation of everything Napoleon Hill taught about mental attitude. The mind defaults to the direction of its dominant inputs. If you do not deliberately direct your thinking will be directed for you, by your environment, by your emotions, by your past experiences, by other people's expectations. The man or woman who develops an unbreakable positive mental attitude is not someone who avoids hard things. They are someone who has chosen, with absolute clarity, what their mind will focus on, regardless of what surrounds them. And that choice, that single, daily, repeatable choice, is where all personal power begins. Now let us talk about the first pillar of an unbreakable mental attitude: definiteness of purpose. This is where most people fail, not because they lack ability, not because life has been unfair, but because they have never clearly decided what they want. They live in the fog of vague wishes. I want to be happy. I want to be successful. I want things to be better. These are not purposes. These are sighs. A burning, specific, consuming purpose is the difference between a man who wanders and a man who conquers. When Napoleon Hill studied the lives of people like Andrew Carnegie, Thomas Edison, and Henry Ford, he did not find people who had easy lives. He found people who were so clear on what they were building that failure simply could not find a permanent place in their story. Failure visited them, yes, absolutely, but it could never stay. Because a person with a true purpose does not experience failure as an identity. They experience it as information. They extract the lesson and they keep moving. What is your purpose? Not the one you think sounds good, not the one your parents hoped for you, not the one that impresses people at dinner parties. What is the thing that, when you imagine not doing it, makes your chest ache? What is the contribution you are here to make that feels bigger than your comfort and braver than your fear? Once you find that, and you must find it, write it down, read it daily, let it become the operating system of your mind. Because a mind anchored to purpose cannot be conquered by circumstance. Stay with me, because this next part is what most people miss, and it is the part that actually makes the difference. The second pillar of an unbreakable positive mental attitude is the mastery of your inner dialogue. Autosuggestion, the deliberate programming of your subconscious mind through repetition, is one of the most powerful and most underutilized tools available to every human being on the planet. Right now, today, you already practice autosuggestion. You just may be practicing the wrong version. Every time you say, "I can't do this," your subconscious writes that as fact. Every time you say, "I always mess things up," your brain begins filtering the world to confirm that belief. Every time you say, "Nothing ever works out for me," you are not describing your life. You are designing it. The subconscious mind does not evaluate. It does not argue. It does not ask whether what you are saying is true. It simply accepts whatever it is given most often, with the most emotion, and begins organizing your perception of reality around those beliefs. This means the most important conversation you will ever have is not with your boss, your partner, your children, or your critics. It is with yourself. Napoleon Hill was clear on this. The man who takes control of his inner dialogue takes control of his destiny. So beginning today, not next Monday, not when things get easier, today, you must deliberately choose what you say to yourself. Speak about yourself the way you would speak about someone you deeply believe in. Speak about your future the way a master architect speaks about a building that does not yet exist but is already certain. I am capable of more than I have yet shown. My purpose is real, and my ability to serve it is growing every day. Every setback I face contains a lesson that is making me more precise, more capable, and more powerful. Say those things, or words like them. Say them with feeling. Say them until they stop feeling strange and start feeling like truth, because that is how truth is built in the mind, not by accident, but by repetition, by emotion, and by persistence. The third pillar is perhaps the most difficult for modern people: self-discipline. We live in an age designed to destroy discipline. Every app, every platform, every notification is engineered to pull you away from deep work, from difficult thinking, from the kind of focused effort that actually builds something meaningful. And so developing self-discipline today requires more conscious resistance than it ever has before. Discipline is not punishment. It is not deprivation. Discipline is choosing your future self over your present discomfort. It is saying, "I know what I want, and I am not willing to trade it for a momentary escape." Every time you honor your commitment to yourself, every time you choose the hard work over the distraction, the growth over the entertainment, the purpose over the impulse, you are strengthening the most important muscle you own. And every time you surrender to the path of least resistance, you are quietly telling your subconscious that your goals are not really serious. That is the hidden cost of undiscipline. It is not just lost time. It is a message to the deepest part of yourself that you do not fully believe in what you say you want. The men and women who achieve greatness over time are almost never the most gifted. They are the most consistent. They show up when it is inconvenient. They do the work when they do not feel like it. They protect their energy, their time, and their mental space with a discipline that looks almost aggressive from the outside. And yet on the inside, it does not feel like restriction. It feels like power. The fourth pillar is one that Napoleon Hill called one of the great secrets of success, and it is this: every adversity you face carries within it the seed of an equivalent, or greater, benefit. Read that again. Every adversity, Not some, not the manageable ones. Every single one. This is not toxic optimism. This is not telling yourself that pain doesn't hurt. It is training the mind to ask a better question when difficulty arrives. Instead of, why is this happening to me? Ask, what is this preparing me for? Instead of, when will this end? Ask, what am I supposed to learn from this that I have not learned yet? The people who develop unbreakable mental attitudes are not people who have been protected from pain. They are people who have learned to be curious about their pain. They have discovered that the moments that feel most like destruction are often the ones that contain the most precise and powerful instruction. Look at your own story. Think back to the hardest season you have ever walked through. Now ask yourself honestly, who are you because of it? How much of your current strength was forged in exactly that fire? The suffering was real, but so was the transformation. And if that was true in the past, it is true in the present as well. Whatever you are walking through right now, it is not wasted. It is being woven into the version of you that the next chapter requires. The fifth pillar is perhaps the most underrated truth in all of Napoleon Hill's teaching, and it is about the people you allow into your mental environment. There is a reason why Hill spoke so often about the mastermind, the deliberate surrounding of yourself with people whose minds elevate yours. Because the mind is highly permeable. It absorbs the attitudes, beliefs, fears, and energy of the people closest to it. If you spend your hours surrounded by people who are comfortable with mediocrity, who complain as a default setting, who have made peace with a life far smaller than they are capable of, their reality will begin to colonize yours. It is not a moral failing, it is neuroscience. It is the natural law of mental association. You must protect your mental environment with the same seriousness that you would protect your physical environment. Choose your close relationships with care, not with cruelty, but with clarity. Seek out people who are building something, people who speak about possibility rather than limitation, people who challenge your thinking rather than confirm your fears. Your mental attitude will always reflect the average of the conversations you participate in most often. Change the conversations and you change the mind. Change the mind and you change the life. Now there is one final truth I want to leave with you, and it is the one that ties every pillar together. It is the one Napoleon Hill returned to at the end of his life, after more than 5 decades of studying human success and failure. He said this: the most powerful force available to every human being is the power of decision, not ability, not intelligence, not circumstances. Decision, a decision made with absolute certainty, backed by burning purpose, disciplined action, and a mind that refuses to be colonized by fear. That decision changes the trajectory of a human life, not gradually, not eventually, immediately. Because the moment you decide, truly decide, not hope, not wish, not try, the way you see your life shifts. The options you notice change. The actions you take change. The energy you carry changes. And the world, which has always been responding to the energy you broadcast, begins to respond differently. You were not designed to live a defeated life. You were not built to spend your days surviving. The fact that you are here, engaging with these ideas, searching for something more real and more powerful than the average day, that itself is evidence that there is more in you waiting to emerge. But it will not emerge automatically. It will emerge through decision, through discipline, through the daily practice of directing your mind toward what you want rather than what you fear. So here is what I am asking of you, not as a teacher, not as a voice, but as someone who believes completely in what you are capable of. Make the decision today. Decide that your mind belongs to you. Decide that your attitude is not a reaction, it is a creation. Decide that no setback, no person, no failure, and no fear will be given the power to define the story you are writing with your life. Begin practicing autosuggestion tonight. Speak your purpose out loud with emotion and with faith. Choose discipline over comfort in at least one small way tomorrow morning. Begin protecting your mental environment from the people and content that drag your energy downward. And return to these ideas, not once, but repeatedly. Because a positive mental attitude is not a destination, it is a daily practice. It is a discipline you build layer by layer until it becomes the unshakable foundation of everything you do and everything you are. That is the teaching of Napoleon Hill. That is the architecture of an unbreakable mind, and it is entirely available to you, right now, in this moment, if you decide. If this way of thinking speaks to something in you, if these ideas spark something you want to keep building on, then you belong in our community at Alpha Logic, where we explore these deep truths about mindset, success, and human potential every single week. Hit subscribe and join us. Because the conversation we just had, it is only the beginning